Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hello, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we are discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 2, Shadows and Symbols. Team Cisco searches for the orb of the emissary, Team Worf blow up the Monarch shipyards, and Team Kira bluff the Romulans.
So many teams.
3 teams.
I can't count that high.
That's okay. There's no qualifications required to podcast. You'll be fine.
Okay, thanks.
That probably means you lost count of how many times Esri clunkily filled in her backstory.
I didn't think it was clunky. Well, what didn't you like about it?
Oh, well, okay, clunky's maybe a little unfair. It wasn't smooth.
I'll defend it. I'll tell you why I liked it.
Okay.
Well, first, I'm assuming you say that because she kept bringing up past hosts?
Yeah.
Well, that made sense to me because she felt so insecure. She feels so insecure about this whole thing because she wasn't prepared for this. It was an emergency situation where they had to stuff her with the symbiont because she was the only person available, and she didn't go through whatever process these trills usually go through, and so she's insecure about it all.
Well, I got that. That doesn't make it smooth, though.
No, but I liked seeing her struggle with this idea of honoring the past lives, yet trying to be your own person as well. Such as when she gets arachnogeno and thinks it's gross, but she thinks, oh, I should have tried this because one of my past lives like this. Do you have to obey those likes and dislikes of those past lives? You can't ignore them completely. It's part of you. So it's a mix, and she's discovering that.
I think the arachnogeno bit was probably the bit I found most appealing. I guess my main problem is that we've had 6 seasons of Dax saying, oh, by the way, I'm 300 years old. Now we've got this fresh Dax, brand new sort of clean slate to retry the formula, and she just spent the whole episode going, wow, I'm 300 years old.
They had to change it up, though. It's good they made this Dax unique in a way, instead of just having another Dax that has the same stuff going on. We have one who wasn't prepared, didn't have the training. It changes it up, and they can do different things with her now. And she has a real job. She's the counselor, which makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's a real job.
Compared to what Jadzia did, which is nothing.
Chief Science Officer. Well, that was her title. What she actually did was nothing. It's good that Dax is quite a different character. She's young and short and kind of very inexperienced or nervous.
It's a different filter through which we'll experience Dax. And that's good that they didn't just do the same thing again.
I think it's probably because it's the last season and they had to get this stuff out of the way quick.
Yes, that seems likely. We saw her last episode, but this is the real introduction of Dax. And she comes off as bubbly and endearing.
I always like things like this on shows because whenever they change a major character, especially in this kind of way where it's the same character and a different actor, that always divides the fans. I mean, okay, so most of them probably sit on the fence. They don't mind either way, but the vocal minorities will passionately defend one or the other to the death.
What team are you on? Team Dax or Team Dax?
Oh, I don't know. It's in this one. It's a bit lopsided because there's a lot more Jadzia than there is Ezri.
I really liked her line, you seem taller or am I shorter? It made me think of when you revisit stuff that you experienced as a child. For example, I went back to the elementary school that I attended, but as an adult, and the ceilings seem so low, and there are all these tiny humans running around, and I don't remember being that tiny, but obviously I was. It's a weird experience.
Well, getting taller is one thing. Most people don't get shorter, so that's going to be quite strange.
As you age, you shrink, but it's
Not
not
that much.
dramatic.
Don't lose 2 feet or something. He's not that short, but Jadzia is tall, and Ezri isn't particularly tall.
I didn't like how Cisco said, I can't believe it, when she came in and said, Hi, I'm Dax. You went through this exact same thing, Cisco, where you met Dax again in a different body.
Yeah, she's a Trill as well, obviously. So I'm surprised Cisco didn't connect the dots. Cisco isn't a silly guy. He's fairly sharp.
Connect the dots. I see what you did.
Oh, that was an accident. Cisco didn't seem very keen on the whole Ezri Dex thing. He was frosty. I mean, he is going through some stuff right now.
He's kind of losing his mind.
Speaking of losing his mind, we got to see a little bit more of the Benny Russell story from Far Beyond the Stars.
Nice throwback, and we also see Hugh Damar.
I remember the first time I watched this, I didn't notice that was Damar.
Oh, really? I think he looks exactly like I thought he would.
Yeah,
So
watching it now, I have no idea how I didn't notice. It was, what's his name? Casey Biggs.
it wasn't surprising to me at all, unlike, say, Ducat.
Well, the Kardashian makeup does change the face quite a bit, so I can sort of understand how I missed it, but I don't know particularly how it happened because it is really obvious.
So you thought he was a random dude?
Yeah, just a random guy. Let's not linger on my past stupidity, though.
Oh, okay. As fun as that is.
Yeah, I can be stupid again, don't worry.
Okay.
It'll happen. The set design in the little institution ward,
Yes, with all the writing on the wall.
yeah, that was actually quite over the top.
Watching that, I felt bad for the intern that had to write that all over.
The entire art department wrote it all.
Okay. Because that was a lot of writing, and it was obvious from the several shots that it's not gibberish up there. Those are actual words.
Yeah, it's not Laura Mipson or anything. It's the full episode summaries from the Deep Space Nine companion for every episode.
Oh, wow.
Up to this one. So it actually is the whole story of Deep Space Nine. It's another sort of they do this from time to time. They go way overboard on some of the set pieces for no apparent reason. Which is great. It looks really authentic.
It looks fantastic.
It's just it probably would have looked fantastic if they'd just sort of stenciled it a few times.
Maybe, but that sort of stuff informs an actor's performance as well. He said, having no acting experience.
Avery Brooks can bring it. He doesn't need to step into a meticulously prepared room and say, wow, they've spent all that time writing it out. I better give this 100%.
While his hand hovered near the wall with the pencil in his hand, I didn't want him to write because where he was about to write didn't line up with the rest of the lines, and it was driving me crazy. I thought, no, you're going to ruin it.
You have to conserve the space you have left. Cisco finds the orbit emissary and reopens the wormhole, and we find out his mom was possessed by a prophet.
That is a weird revelation.
This season seems to be the season of mom revelations.
We had plenty of dad angst. Now it's mom angst time.
I guess. I mean, it's a pointless revelation because we don't really know anything about his mom.
But now we know his existence is arranged, which is weird.
It is a bit weird. I suppose it's all getting a bit sort of religious, especially with him wandering around in the desert, being tempted by the Paraiths and all that.
Instead of him bumbling into this title of the emissary, where you think, oh, it could have been anyone who was in that position. No, it had to be him. It was preordained. That's pretty heavy stuff. He's already a religious icon, but now he's going to be remembered forever in the Bajoran religion, whatever it's called.
It doesn't have a name, and whilst that might sound impressive, no one really cares in the long run.
Well, he went from being a footnote in the religious texts to possibly having his own book.
You mean he's kind of upgraded from sort of random dude to... I'd say he's more than just a book. I'd say he's becoming a bit of a Jesus.
Yeah, he's Jesus-y now.
We just need a scene of him walking on water, and they'll have checked all of the cliches for Jesus-like characters.
Turn his baseball into wine.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
They've got so much wine as they want. There's a line that really annoyed me in the Cisco plotline.
Go on.
Jake says, can't we just scan for the orb from the runabout? Then Esri says, oh, there's too much interference in the planet's ionosphere. There's too many waves and wobbles. Couldn't she have just said, no, that's not an option, there's not an orb scan button, sorry.
We don't have the marker for it, so we can't search for something we don't know.
Well, I don't know how it could search for it anyway. It's just a lump of stuff buried somewhere on the planet. It would have been plausible if she just said, no, that's not an option, sorry.
No, shut up. And stop hitting on me.
He wasn't hitting on her. That's
No,
just
he
Jake.
wasn't,
He plays
but-
the game.
I fully expect him to try harder later.
You think Jake's gonna ask Dax out?
Yeah, I do.
That would be very awkward, especially for his dad. Jake,
Oh, man.
I know you like older women, but this is ridiculous.
If you're into older women, of course you're going to go for a 300-year-old woman.
I think Jake was just being his charismatic self. There were other plotlines in this episode. There was the Worf, Team Worf, Martok, Quark, Bashir, O'Brien, blow up the Monarch shipyards, which looked gorgeous, I thought. It was a little treat to
It
see
did.
them get blown up.
And we see once again what a jerk Worf is.
Yes.
Quark joins, pledges his life, basically. And Worf assumes the worst. And that he's not being genuine.
I don't blame Worf too much for that.
Why?
Well, it is Quark. He usually isn't genuine.
Okay.
It annoyed me that he was there, though, and he didn't do anything.
Why? Yeah, why was he there?
At first, I thought, yeah, okay, well, he's just a bartender. They don't need that. Later in the episode, they're all sweating, all overheating, and I'm just thinking somebody should be fetching drinks. And I know who. It's his one talent. Why is he not using it?
That would have gone a long way with me because it made no sense for Quark to be on that mission. He added nothing. I guess moral support, but they didn't really need that.
Whatever he added in moral support, he subtracted in many other ways. Well, it truly was a dangerous mission, apart from it wasn't really, and Worf didn't particularly do anything. But they did make a cool explosion, and that's nice.
All it takes is a cool explosion to get into Stovacor.
You better believe it. The other storyline was Team Kira and Odo bluffing the Romulans.
One aspect of that storyline made me laugh, and that's they kept cutting to the Admiral and Romulan, right?
Yeah.
And so are they just sitting there, hanging out, chatting until they need to transmit to Kira and Odo?
They got some smash on the other screen. A bit of melee.
Because a lot of time passes between the transmissions.
Oh yeah, it's 6 hours later or something.
And they're still sat there in the same positions.
And their chairs are snuggly close.
We better not move. We might have to contact Kira. We need to make sure we're both in frame.
Can they just get 2 cameras?
Budget cuts. They only have one camera.
I didn't really like the Kira storyline.
Why not?
Because it didn't really have a clever conclusion or anything. She just bluffed them and then eventually they backed down.
Yeah, she says what she's gonna do, and then she does exactly that, and then it works exactly as planned. I never felt like they were actually in danger.
Yeah, the way Odo keeps saying, oh, we are gonna die. 2 main characters dead. You kind of think, well, no, you're not.
It'll be so tragic when we die. Here, read this book.
Mike Hammer. Which is a real book, by the way. I love how Odo has no taste in books.
He has a taste. He loves detective stuff.
Well, I don't know. I've not read the Mike Hammer novels. Maybe they are great, but Odo didn't do a good job of selling it to me.
No, he made it sound terrible.
It's odd that he's picking these books from the 20th century when they seem very cliched. That sort of thing tends to fade quite well. I don't know where he'd pick them up 4 centuries later.
Odo frequents the subreddit of generic 20th century pulp fiction.
Fair enough.
It's his thing.
He's a mod there.
Yeah. But you're right, it doesn't make sense. It's too
It's too specific, considering how many races there are and how many books there must be.
yeah, for his taste to align with something that exists for us, that doesn't make sense.
Surely there's great Vulcan detective novels, I would imagine. The Masters of Logic, they must have some crackers.
Maybe all of that stuff is genius. We just don't appreciate it in our own time. and it's rediscovered and has a resurgence later.
No.
Okay.
Again, I've not read the Mike Hammer novels, so maybe they are genius. The wormhole has reopened, and Cisco is back in the station with all his chums, and it seems like everything is back to normal.
Someone finally hit the reset.
So the only thing they have to do now is crack the Dominion War, and they're done.
And then all the problems are solved forever.
Yeah, that's it. Once they've done that, that's it.
It kind of is built up that way.
War is kind of a big deal, so it makes sense once the big war is solved, they're probably going to think, right, well, we're on the easy street now. Do you have a quote from this episode?
Well, I was hoping our relationship was going to be a long and happy one, but I suppose I'm willing to settle for short and exciting.
Does that mean he's unhappy?
Yes.
He does tend to be grumpy, so that makes sense.
He accepts death pretty readily. Even though, as far as I can tell, changelings live forever.
They certainly live a long time, it seems.
Yes.
So throwing it all that way, just, whatever. Short and exciting.
Except if they died, that wouldn't have been exciting. They just bluffed and then they would blow up. It would be really quick and not. Well, it'd be exciting for the Romulans, I guess.
What if they killed Odo?
Yeah, to kill a god, that's pretty exciting.
He's not literally a god, though. They've killed plenty of shapeshifters on this show. It's not that. It's not all that. Although, the one time they killed Odo, they killed Mirror Odo, and he popped in a rather spectacular fashion.
That was exciting.
Proper little bang, bits of him all over the place. Oh, I just had a really good idea for how the Kira storyline could have been improved.
I am all ears, all two of them.
What if Kira had asked the Dominion for help? Bajor is not allied with the Federation and all that.
What would be the result?
She'd say, I'm going to ask the Dominion for help.
Oh, she would just threaten that?
Romulans would say, no, you're not. And she would phone up Weyoun and say, hey, how are you doing? And the Romulans would say, oh my god. It could have been a nice bit of political confusion because Bajor is not allied with the Federation or the Dominion. They're non-aggression treaty with the Dominion. It would be a confusing mess, but I don't know. I feel that storyline did need more because I don't think it was as short and exciting as Odo said.
No, it wasn't at all. It seemed to exist solely to pad out the episode.
All three storylines seemed a bit short on content.
While that's true, I can't take Bajorans seriously. Neither can the characters. They all know it's a joke. They can't take out the Romulans. They won't fire.
They probably would fire, though. The Bajorans are insane.
Okay, they are insane, and insane people are unpredictable.
They would lose, though, no doubt.
There wouldn't be many casualties. They could wipe them out easily.
Oh, they'd wipe the floor.
But then that would cause strife with the Federation and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't exciting. It needed more or to not exist at all.
I wanted a long and happy relationship, not short and somewhat boring and overblown. But he wasn't talking about this particular episode. Maybe he was talking about the next one. Little segue there to nowhere.
We should find out.
Because it's the end of this. Yes, we should.
All right.